Hello, everybody. Today, we're joined by Ima Meery, CEO and Fractional Head of AI at AIPoint, a leading AI strategy and implementation firm focused on custom full lifecycle AI solutions, including AI agents. Now, that means that they deliver genuine business impact to the KPIs that matter most using AI. AIPoint is also an AWS consulting partner. Ima specifically has a long history in the tech industry, having worked for eBay as a technical architect and team lead, founded AI startups before AI is what it is today. And she also earned a master's in business strategy and innovation from the University of Technology, Sydney, as well as a bachelor's in computer science from the University of Applied Science and Technology. Welcome, Ima.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here with us. So let's start from the top. What's the story behind AIPoint?
Well, as you mentioned that I work in the industry for quite a while and working on different AI projects and cloud projects for last 10 years. With the rise of generative AI, I saw a great opportunity to be able to help businesses to actually implement AI and get the advantage of that. So I started AIPoint. Basically, before I started with a couple of projects when I was working in my corporate job, and I found that is working, and I started AIPoint and starting expanding that, delivering services that we had initially in Sydney, Australia, and then working with more clients around US and Central Europe.
Interesting. So it sounds like you started with AI on the job. That AI
Yes.
on the job, those projects, was that like full technical implementation, training models, or was it more like AI workflow focused?
I'm always a hands-on person, so at the same time I'm learning all the concept, I'm taking it practical implementation as well. Same as what we're doing at the moment at AIPoint. So for different projects and business use cases, I not only provide the AI strategy, but also get involved in implementing that. So yes, our solutions and advice and everything goes beyond talking about the AI strategy. We have implementing all the different solutions that we provide to our client. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So what you're providing to clients, that's full like lifecycle AI, meaning you're training the models too, or are you using open source models and applying them here or there, or using APIs?
Yeah, there are different use cases. The common use case is using OpenAI API itself, because that's been around for a while and people are more trusted to OpenAI API. So that's why most of the scenarios we implement is using OpenAI API. In some scenario, for example, we had OCR implementation and so on, train the model if we need to. For those scenarios, yes, we go through training model, then leveraging that on the cloud solutions and using that in the application and so on. But a lot of scenario we don't use in training because it's more cost effective to find the right large language model exist in the market right now.
Got it. So I guess if anything, like, could you elaborate for me what it means to train an AI model? Because that sounds costly, that sounds complicated. It also sounds like curious question actually, when would you want to train your own AI model?
For example, like for OCR, we had a scenario that we needed to train the model for a specific OCR activity to understand specific context from the images. So we needed to use a specific data sets to do that. And another really good example of that is for a stock market AI agent that we implemented. So we used time series data sets. So we needed to run a specific model training for our LLMs. So that's why we use that. So it's a specific scenario. For example, like the time series one is like quite complex. So you need to get things right. Otherwise, the number is going to go wrong. And similar like for OCR activity. But I don't suggest usually to everyone. So because there are at the moment so many large language models that provide lots of different features. So if we look around in the market, so could find a really good LLM, get it off the shelf and implement it. The fine-tuning use are costly because you need to get that LLM on the cloud. You need to do the specific training, find the right data set, not too big, not too small, because if it's too big, it might make a hallucination for your large language model. And then depends on the effort of the model training. It may need the basically GPU instance most of the times, especially if the data set is big. So you need a GPU for the model training. That's bring a big cost for the businesses. And that's what we want to prevent, that if there is already a solution out there. Sometimes we suggest partial training instead of the full training of the large language model, if that makes
Partial
sense.
training. Okay, so what is partial training?
So basically get a subset of a data set instead of a full massive data set to do the training. Depends on the specific use cases they have.
Got it. So how would you, just like wondering here, like how would you integrate a partially trained model into like a larger model? Is that how it works, or like what does it mean to integrate that?
Yeah, this is just an example for a specific scenario. For example, we're doing a more on the time series data. For a small proportion of that, this is more like a development stage, not the production stage. We do a partial training to validate the idea, do a POC, and then if that works, then we go further. So it's less costly because you're doing a smaller data set, and then you deploy that and test your idea, and that's it.
Got it. Okay. So there's like a larger process that you're really implementing here. So what did that process look like? Like let's imagine I'm a medium-sized enterprise level business that has some data internally, and I want to automate, I don't know, let's say payroll in some capacity. Maybe payroll isn't a good example, but you fill in the example that's best suited for this. What would it look like for me to start with you? And then what sort of process would you put us through to understand what the right strategy is and then have a valuable end outcome? That's ROI positive.
Yeah, let me go with the example that actually we worked on that for training the large language model with earning data for companies that they are publicly trading. So every quarter they are providing their earning reports, right? So to provide the more accurate market analysis for one of our clients, so we went through that, okay, can we use model training for this specific scenario? So we get all these balance sheet and earning reports and so on, and train the model with that data, and we go from there. So we used the specific data set, but because it was very large and we just wanted to do a POC, we did a partial part of the data set. So you can get, usually when you're doing the fine tuning, you can say, okay, I want 70% of this data set or 50% of this data set to get loaded, and just train that and just test and validate the idea, because we are talking with numbers and so on. So we want to see how that impact works for the large language model. So that's how we did it. So we trained the model. We use that in our solution, the AI agent, and basically prove that whether this whole process works, deployed on AWS cloud. So primarily we use AWS, and basically, we use that way to validate that idea.
Okay. So first, it sounds like, let me see if I can summarize this correctly. You jump on board, you look at exactly what the goals are, what the current data assets are, and judging by what you have and the goals are, you then plot the course. Now you try your best to use partial training more than anything, or an off-the-shelf LLM solution if possible, so then you can get the end result, because the result is more important than anything else. Now,
yes,
then you
right.
go through like a POC, proof of concept phase, and then once you actually prove the concept out, then you go ahead and you send it to production, and then you actually launch the solution. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. I'm glad I got that.
Usually I suggest a smaller approach for POC, for testing, development, and then POC. And then if things works and we are happy with the outcome, then go to production. Because if we go bigger step in the beginning, so it's going to be very costly, especially when we're talking about model training and fine tuning.
Right. Especially nowadays, everybody's trying to train a model. The biggest players are training models at scale. It's best to just work off of what others are creating, the best of the best, whatever versions that they have.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. Okay, so I have spoken to a lot of AI agencies, quote unquote. You sound like a very different type of AI agency. A lot of people are trying to just implement conversational AI or AI chatbots, something like of the sort. But you're building more custom solutions. So I guess the question is, why?
Because of, I think, the scenario that we came across through our basically clients. So they needed the FAQ AI assistant, which is like a conversational one that you mentioned, but they needed more, for example, like market analysis, code builder. So we have a code builder agent that actually it helps you to generate code based on the existing code base you have. And so on. So we build different scenario based on the actual business use cases that our customers deal with. So they had that problem and we solved them through AI assistant.
Interesting. Okay, so broader question, what type of clients are you usually working with?
Some of them, they are tech companies, like the trading companies that we've worked recently. Some of them are not necessarily a tech company, like a wealth management company that we are working with based in Central Europe. And it's very varied. So it used to be varied. We're narrowing that to fintech at the moment. We had clients across catering, fashion, and recruitment. Now we are narrowing down to fintech and recruitment space because there is more need and more potential in that space that we could help with. We have now working with another company based in Sydney, Australia, in a recruitment space. So one is that because they have more serious problem that they can get implemented by AI. Another is that narrowing down that help us to provide better solutions because we've seen similar problems in different businesses related to recruitment and fintech. And if you don't want to be a shop for everyone.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to be a shop for everyone?
Well, because then that becomes very broad. So many industries. For example, I said like initially we worked with fashion and catering business and so on. So it's just different kind of people you work with, different problems you solve, totally different. And it's a basically context switching from fintech to go to a fashion business to a restaurant and so on. It's a very totally different kind of people that you're dealing with and the type of the problem they have, the type of customers they have. It makes it a lot harder for us to tackle across all of these things, especially we are a small team of 5 people at the moment. We could expand it, but I don't see it necessary at this time because with focusing in 2-3 specific industry, we could deliver the same and work better.
Understood. Okay. Now that makes perfect sense. The context switching, I can imagine that's very high cost for the team,
Yes.
energetically and both like monetarily at the same time. And if you already have solutions in one key area at a high level, well, might as well just leverage past results for future business. Okay. So according to what I read up about you before the podcast, it sounds like you label yourself as like a fractional head of AI. Is that also how you label yourself with your clients?
With some of the clients, they need head of AI in some capacity. Yes, I work with them as well in that capacity. And also I'm working with company called Head of AI based in UK as well. So they also work with me and in that capacity. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So what does it mean to be a fractional or full head of AI?
Well, it's just a couple of days of a month. Help them with AI strategy, suggesting like best practices on implementing AI within their tech team, and whether they needed training, specific training, etc. So I could help with that. So just between 2 to 4 days a month. So I help that. I help organization in that capacity as well.
Interesting. Now, I think there are some business owners, AI agency founders, leaders that are probably listening to the podcast because they've been on the podcast. I think there's a key difference here between what they're doing and what you're doing. Like when you're talking about fractional head of AI or head of AI in general at these companies, we're talking about training, data cleaning, data preparation, strategy, engineering management, I would assume as well. Like it's much broader than just workflows and Zapier automations, Make.com, N8N, whatever it is. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. It's very different. So basically, I provide everything in my career I've done and all my past experience from team management to technical implementation and so on as part of the head of AI operations in different organizations.
Got it. Okay, so I guess a follow-up question here is, I mean, this is a key role considering where AI is going, where AI is even just like right now, and also where AI has been. The potential here is massive. So why is what AIPoint and what you're doing right now more important now than ever?
It's important for organizations to implement AI faster than their competitors. A lot of businesses realize that, and they're doing it right now. And that's where we could help them to implement the right solution, right system. And I think this is the right time to be in AI space and help businesses. If someone is a consultant and have experience, I think it's the right time to be in the AI space and help businesses to actually implement AI. And I think we are at the right point of the history, basically, implementing AI. And I think 10 years from now, it's going to be even like so many things going to come out. So even in 1 year capacity, since I started AIPoint, so many changes happened. Have a good example of that. Like 10 years ago, it was a cloud peak. So everyone was talking about cloud. And I was in the industry as well. And thinking of that, how we went from the just getting familiar with cloud and how we're actually using cloud right now is a must-have in every organization. That the same thing going to happen for AI. But I think the time gap will be shorter. It's like not 10 years. I think it might be in 5 years' time. And that's why we are here. We helping businesses to implement the right way to implement AI in their business.
So it sounds like it right now is the right time to start implementing it. Before it was very, very potentially esoteric, much more advanced, required much more expert knowledge, right? And everybody was also focused on just the infrastructure that would enable what we're seeing today. But now that the infrastructure is there with cloud and with all these GPUs that are advancing year over year, sometimes even quarter over quarter, now is when I think, like you said, companies are realizing now is when they have to create a differentiation, that edge versus their competition. If not
yes,
risk
exactly.
falling behind, then I guess the question becomes, considering that you've been in AI for so long and that you're at the forefront of AI transformation alongside your team of data engineers, scientists, and experts, in your experience, what are the key trends driving AI adoption across these industries, and how do we all capitalize on that?
The main two things that it really works when having conversation with businesses around AI adoption is enhancing productivity and enhancing customer experience. Usually what businesses and leaders actually care about is what is impacting their customers for business growth or for increasing sales or reducing costs, and what it actually helps their employees to be better at their job and perform better. So two drivers so far when I'm having conversation with many businesses over the last few months, I think I talked with over 70 people, 70 business leaders, basically in fintech and health tech and ad tech and so on. The main driver are productivity and enhancing customer experience. And that's what grab a lot of attention from business leaders because of what they care about. Not only it helps them their business grow, but also it helps them to perform better and be in their industry and in their market for longer. And that's the part that we still continue on the discussion with different businesses.
So to be clear, that means productivity and customer attention and retention, right?
Yes.
Okay. So how do we capitalize on that then? I mean, AI is a way to capitalize on it, but what strategies would you recommend that people start to look into and consider?
Yeah, for productivity, it's about how much time of your employee gets saved by eliminating the repetitive task and let that AI do the job basically for them, right? So basically augmenting AI into your processes. So then people can save time and spend that time on more strategic tasks and more important tasks in the organization, right? So, okay, if we provide a solution to organizations that reduce their time for 10 hours a week, that's valuable. If it gets even 20 hours, it's even more valuable. Okay, find those people that they are doing a repetitive task, a manual task that can be actually hand over to AI by utilizing off-the-shelf tools or a custom solution and so on. And then basically use that as a driver for better basically business grows, because then you save your time of your employee, means that they can do other works or upskill themselves by training, because they have more time now, or even better life balance for employees as well. So work-life balance. So that help all with the employee satisfaction, and that a better driver for how they perform in the business overall, right? And that's one thing for how we measure for productivity. So the number of hours that it's saved for basically staff, team members. And then another one is the customer experience, how we actually helping businesses to improve customer experience with AI. One is that how long they stay on the platform, because the platform now is easier to work with, it has better features, or simplify the process when they are on the platform. Or how actually, because of AI, you attracting new customers and you're getting more engaged through the platform, because it's an AI systems, it advanced with AI and so on, because they just type a prompt and things get worked out in the back. So that customer retention metrics and how they get engaged to the platform and then they buy things and so on. For example, let's say we talk about the fashion business. So the moment that they see that, okay, so they can chat with a chatbot and get the new styles and trends based on their interests, so it keeps them engaged. And then once they start clicking and buying, that means, okay, you're getting more sales, right? Simple as that, right? So that drives business growth basically by keeping the customers engaged, and they buy, and and they come back again because it's more interesting. They're recommending their friends and so on. So measuring those kind of metrics also the way that we could evaluate how much AI brings money to the business.
Got it. Okay. So it sounds to me like productivity, customer retention, and experience, and getting the attention of people with leveraging AI. But it all really starts with having a data-driven approach to business, right? Because if you basically need KPIs in order to understand exactly where to focus on, what moves the needle, where's the pipeline bottlenecks of the business, right? So then any business and correct me if I'm wrong, any business that wants to start considering an AI strategy or an AI implementation, they first need to know their numbers. If not, then hire somebody like you guys to look at the numbers, find the numbers, and then identify the exact place where AI can do an outstanding job to solve that bottleneck and free up the business, free up the people to go to a new level. Is that a way to understand it?
Yes, exactly. That's how actually we work with these different businesses. So we have a chat with them to learn, okay, what they're doing exactly. And then we have a basically broader conversation once we're happy with the initial conversations. Basically, okay, what are your processes for your team members? We get some of the team members get involved as well to identify the opportunities that AI could help, basically. So whether it's a manual process, repetitive task, or a problem that actually your customers is dealing with your platform, long steps during in a process, or something that actually could be enhanced with just typing a prompt and getting AI and AI agent do the rest of the job for you. So we identify all those things, and then we basically suggest them, okay, now you can prioritize based on your priority and your business goals, which one needs to be done first. And then we go from there and helping implementing AI.
So you guys really, it isn't just about, okay, generating the numbers, but also having a conversation with the people on the ground, seeing it in reality, like what's actually happening in the system, right? Exactly. So
we don't provide blindly. We provide it with really watching the businesses, what they're doing, etc. I ask a lot of comprehensive information from them to learn about their system and then suggest things. Otherwise, it won't work, right? It's not super practical.
Right. And I think one of the things one of the angle here right now in the conversation is to get to the point where we tell like whoever's listening, like AI, it is incredible. It has tons of potential and it's getting more and more powerful quarter by quarter, year by year. But it isn't the cure all, right? The real cure all is knowing your business, knowing your people, and understanding where to implement changes. Because AI maybe isn't the exact solution that you need. Maybe you just have to have conversations with your people and be a better leader, right? Or maybe that is an actual place for AI. And I think that's what Ima is here to do for a lot of businesses. So we're starting to run out of time. So a couple more questions. This one's more so focused on like the devil's advocate angle here. So where do you think AI systems are falling short more often than not when transforming businesses?
I think AI, it falls short in some of the businesses that are still hesitant on implementing AI because of a lot of new changes is happening it sounds good that, okay, AI, it's getting more mature over time. So in terms of what it was before in 2 years ago, and then all the capacity it had, what tool has now. So it even can generate video with a simple prompt and so on. But that scares a lot of businesses too at the same time when I'm having a conversation, because it makes them, okay, now if we implement AI, the next day it's going to change again. And some of the fintech organizations, they're implementing AI in some capacity, but it falls short for the areas that they have regulations. They have a lot of regulations in some area that they don't want to touch it with AI because AI keep changing. And it's going to be an effort. So I had a conversation with the organization that they said, if your solution worked within the 3 months, you could deliver it within 3 to 6 months, it's fine. We are happy to go ahead with you. But if it past 6 months, it's not going to work for us because things going to get deprioritized within the whole organization because of all the regulations changes and so on. So it doesn't work for us because then that project going to go to the backlog and we cannot continue with you, right? So in those kind of businesses and industries that highly regulated, AI in some capacity falls short because they cannot, because of all the constant changes in AI and also in their business and industry, they cannot continue with it at this point. And they prefer to go ahead with AI, implementing AI when it's actually AI more powerful, more stabilized, so they can actually trust, okay, now it's going to take 3 months or so on. We implement it and that's it. We are good with the situations and we don't have to go through, keep changing, etc. Because that's definitely a cost for businesses.
Understood. So there's like the business reality that the AI systems or implementation in general has to fit into, whether it be like maybe quarterly reporting to shareholders, where they start to really drill into these investments and see like what's the actual ROI or the delivery period or actual regulations, maybe keeping compliance. So that's really interesting. I would actually assume that at least for compliance, I can understand like the business reality, but for compliance, I would almost assume that AI would be a great solution to ensure compliance at scale.
Yeah, true. To me, it's the case as well. Going through working with an organization to build a solution for them, right? It's going to take some time. Understanding their processes, provide the solution, implement it, right? Start implementing that and then go to the deliverables and actually deliver it. It takes a couple of months at least, 3 months, 6 months, and so on, right? Depends on which area we are solving a problem, right? But if it takes longer and their business industry keep changing, it's not efficient for them because they have to keep iterate through that, right? They want at the moment, if AI deliver for them something, so they want it just right now, okay? Within a short time frame. So they can bring that value to their business as quick as possible. And I think that's the main concern for a lot of businesses. They say, okay, it's too many new things in AI. So we prefer to stay away for a while. Once it gets stabilized, then we go ahead with that. Yeah.
I wonder, honestly, if that's the right approach, if that hesitancy doesn't actually end up leading to business failures because AI is getting more powerful. It might never actually stabilize and it might actually end up disrupting them instead of them riding the disruption.
Yeah, that's why they don't actually stop using AI. They're using AI, for example, for customer support that is easier. So is away from their regulation. So they implement AI in that area, enhancing the customer service processes, and then keep the rest of the, for example, core functionality away. I agree with you. I wish that I could change that, but that's how they look after their businesses. Some of the businesses, they do that. So what I suggest usually to this organization, okay, maybe find area that can be basically isolated from the rest and you implement the AI in that space. And once you got that trust that, okay, this works for your business, it doesn't take that much time and so on, then scale that in your business for longer.
Understood. Okay. Well, we are unfortunately basically at time. So is there one thing that you would like to potentially say to the audience about AI implementation, AI strategy, like any sort of words of advice based off of your experience that you'd like to just impart?
Sure. I think at the moment, the trend is that a lot of people experiment with AI. Okay, I build this AI agent does this. I build this AI assistant that does that, right? But the important thing is that we find real business problems to solve with AI. Then from our learning, it goes somewhere, right? I usually take that approach to implement the solution and offer it. Otherwise, we can build so many things with AI. There are so many possibilities. But who's going to buy that? Who's going to use that? So I think if someone is entering this space, wants to help businesses, I would suggest find 1-2 real business problems, talk to people and find the real business problem and then start building it instead of lots of random things, because you keep seeing AI agent for social media and so on, but who's actually using them? A lot of them are going to go to waste. And we end up with so many tools out there that actually no one is using them.
Got it. Like we said earlier in the podcast, actual business outcomes, actual business problems, data-driven approaches,
Exactly.
bottlenecks to solve for, and a focused approach. All right. Well, amazing. Thank you, Ima, for your time. Truly, it has been a privilege in very many ways. And hopefully we'll have you on again soon.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was a really good conversation.
I'm glad. Okay. See everybody on the next episode.